old outdoor broad here, and reporting to you, as it were, from the Great Orion Dark Sky Festival out in Panamint Valley, Panamint Lake. Let's kind of scan the area. See my campsite, my tent. Over there, those are the astronomers and astrophysicists that are giving the lectures and such. And as you can see, we're just kind of all scattered in this open desert area. Just kind of come and set up and do your thing. So I wanted to spend some time waxing philosophical about the riveting subject of tent stakes. So let me give you a little bit of background. About 3 weeks ago, I was out in Death Valley and a kaboom blew through. Now the ranger came by and he told us that there was going to be some really high wind so we could prepare. I've had my tent in strong wind, and I typically, in the desert, I don't stake it. And the reason I'm hesitant to put stakes in is usually the ground is really hard and you're pounding into rocks and your stakes get all bent up. And so I've tended to rely on the weight of the items that are in the tent. And in moderate winds, that's been fine. I've never had a problem. Well, in 40, 50 mile an hour winds, a whole different ball game. So I use my normal tent stakes in Death Valley, and it was hard ground, so I was putting them in at a severe angle to try and get as much of the stake itself in the ground as I could. And when the severe wind came through, they didn't hold. The stakes all pulled. Everything pulled out. The weight in the tent wouldn't hold it. And I had no choice but to collapse the tent, pile my stuff on top of it, and wait until the wind was gone and then rebuild everything. So I wanted to take a few minutes and wax philosophical on the riveting subject of tent stakes. So now I'm out here at the Dark Sky Festival, and in the emails that we got about where, what, when, and all that kind of stuff, the comment was made that if you're bringing a tent, you're going to be in a tent, have at least 12-inch tent stakes because the winds can get really bad. So I don't have 12-inch tent stakes, right? So I had to get some. So I wanted to share those tent stakes with you and the changes I made and what the result of that was. Okay, so here we're looking at my table that I have set up, and hopefully you can see this. But this right here is my normal tent stake, and miraculously it's not bent, which means I've probably never used it. Let's look at the top of it. Yeah, I probably used it once in soft ground. I have been a couple places where there was soft ground. Now next to it, you'll see the heavy-duty tent stake that I bought for this trip. Look at that puppy. Hopefully you can see that well enough. It's 18 inches long. So I went online at REI and I was looking for heavy-duty tent stakes, and this is what they had. And you can compare that to the stakes that came with the tent. All right, pretty significant. Now, the other thing, when I saw these things, I thought, man, I don't know if my plastic mallet that I use for normal tent stakes will drive that, especially if the ground is hard, and I was expecting hard ground. So I went and I bought a regular 16-ounce, the cheapest hammer I could find. I wanted 20, but all the 20-ounce hammers were really expensive. This was like $8 at Lowe's, and all I'm going to do is drive tent stakes. So I bought that. And let's talk about how they performed in the wind. So Thursday when I came out here, it was really windy. And my opinion is, based on my Death Valley experience, if I didn't have those stakes, I wouldn't have been able to put up my tent on Thursday. God, how many? 1, 2, 3. Anyway, there's roughly, I don't know, between 15 and 20 tent stakes and points that you can stake on this tent. And what I did with the big ones, I only bought 8. First of all, they were a little expensive. Second of all, I figured if I had 8 critical points held firmly, then I could use regular stakes in the rest of the locations. And that turned out to work just fine. So we've had some heavy wind, and the tent was perfectly stable. Now the other thing is this ground out here is much softer than the ground was at Furnace Creek and Death Valley. So the stakes drove in pretty well, but again they're 18 inches deep, and they didn't budge. Worked out really, really great. So just wanted to pass along a little tent stake wisdom for your outdoor enjoyment. And if I can get some pictures of the Great Orion Nebula tonight, hopefully it'll be clear enough, I'll be posting those. In the meantime, I'll be seeing you in the old outdoors.